Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Today's gem we're going to be talking about is the Andrew Tate era over? And do we really have to rethink who this man really is? So, some general thoughts on Andrew Tate that I have. With the overwhelming societal push to emasculate and otherwise effeminate men in the West, Andrew Tate's message for male empowerment, drive, direction, and accomplishment has been taken as a breath of fresh air. Uh, the world, as we know it, was overwhelmingly built by men of courage and drive. The question, however, is why would men or a man with such a positive message for male empowerment like Andrew Tate be involved in the sex business in the first place? Even if the business is technically legal, Andrew Tate will not be perceived as anything other than a pimp by actions and his words, as some alleged evidence has come to light. I looked at some other content on YouTube from a couple of guys named Abba and Preach, and they put together a few clips of Andrew Tate self-incriminating himself. You know, I'm going to play a couple of these clips for you, and they'll illustrate what I mean. They provide tapes of Andrew Tate himself talking about the women in his employ and the tactics that he used. So just bear with me for a second. I'm going to share and let you know what he was up to, okay? It's coming up. Oh, here goes.
Guys, he's self-snitching.
So what you're telling me is that they got him on frauding the girls and defrauding the government. Is that what you're saying?
I just want you guys to understand, like, just here, we're not even going to the human trafficking, just right there. This man was stealing from the people that were working for him.
Right there.
He didn't even care. He said, I'm getting rich, bitch, fuck you. He didn't care. He was stealing from it. If that's your job, how would you feel about that? Would you not want this person charged for that crime? Listen, if my employer even stole $1 an hour from me, I'd be pissed. Thousands every single month?
Something real's happening. Nothing's happening until you get rich age. Girls.
Fair use.
Women have sex with somebody. If they're not fucking you, they're fucking somebody else. And that other person she's fucking is going to have the control over her mind as opposed to you. And if he controls her mind and you don't control her mind, once she starts to pick it up a bit after a few weeks, a few months, whatever, and realizes how to make money on her own, or she's going to run off and pay her boyfriend, or them two are going to go traveling in Southeast Asia, and she's going to work as she goes, or she's going to go to her boyfriend and say, look, fuck it, you type for me. Oh yeah, you're always working. I have to do some traveling and you can't come. I want to bring you with me. Traveling's a great one because the thing about this business is mobile. If you can find a good Airbnb with good internet, you can run it somewhere else. So it's a good little caveat to throw in. You're always working. Why don't you work for me so we spend more time together? Work for you doing what? So a lot of webcam business. Oh, I don't want to do that. So okay, I know you don't want to do that, but listen, come and let's have a meeting. Let's just talk about it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Fine. But let me explain it to you properly. In fact, I'll bring one of the girls who works for me. Your bottom bitch, the new girl, go out for fucking nice dinner. Your bottom bitch is the one who does the selling. You don't do the selling. The girl has to hear from the girl. This is where your bottom bitch has to be trained. That's why I said it's so important to have a good first girl.
Remember Glenn Maxwell? That was the girl that recruited for Jeffrey Epstein. Almost identical to what he's talking about here.
You guys remember? So this is why this is important, this push right here. It doesn't prove anything, but it is one of the little pieces of evidence that they add in for the whole trafficking charge. Basically, he has a woman, okay, who used to be a former police officer in Romania. She's the one who does the recruiting, the managing of the women. Why? Because women are much more likely to be roped into these kinds of things if they're hearing it from another woman. So when he sets up his organization, right, because they're accusing him of running a criminal organization, he has the woman who he calls his bondwoman, right, to recruit the other women. Okay, now, there's some transcripts, because they did some wiretaps, they seen their phone, they see all their technology. So there's some conversations that they're using now. I want you to also know the context of the country's in. Andrew Tate is a foreigner living in Romania as a rich person.
Trying to fucking steal from the government?
And he's also spoken about the reason why he left the UK to go to Romania is because, you know what I mean, laws are a little bit lax. They're not like, it's not as repressive. So this is how he talks about Romania and going to jail there. Okay, this is pulled from his PC, and then there was a leak to the press. Okay, so this is something that they got.
Romanian court, so there's no, not court in Romania. They're corruption free, as we all know. They put me in jail. I'm gonna walk in there with a pile of money like this. Boom, this is hoes, this sells mine. I'm ready, put me in jail. I don't give a fuck. I think they're court. Get me out of jail. The law says you're guilty. I said get me out of jail. Don't go see a lawyer to talk about the law. I've committed multiple felonies. How much for it?
So let me stop that right there. All right, I'm gonna come back to another clip soon, but I want to stop that right there so we can just talk about it a little bit.
This all go away. Also, when you're a real G, is that you're here, you're there, you're everywhere. You gotta go to Poland, you gotta go to Warsaw, fucking Dubai.
Okay. I'm gonna stop that right there. And what's next? The next clip is coming up soon, but before I get there, I'm gonna say a few other things to you. All right. Well, anyway, so the first clip, excuse me for being clumsy a little bit. We have, if that wasn't enough, Abby and Preach has some written transcripts that we're going to talk about next. But still, this has to be proven in a court or disproven in court by him because these transcripts are very, very incriminating. So I'm gonna go ahead to the second clip and let's just let it play, so I can stop stumbling over my words.
Yeah, I digress.
So these are leaked transcripts from the stenographer, either in the court case or leaked from the prosecutor's office. The reason why they're doing this is they like the media attention being involved in this. The prosecutor may probably have some ego involved, and he wants to let everybody know I'm going to be the person who takes out Andrew Tate. And listen, it only matters if he's got evidence to back it up, and he's done some digging.
Fair use.
And it seems that during their 8 months of searching and their raids on the compound, they found quite a lot.
Oh my God.
Okay, so this is how Andrew Tate apparently manipulates one of the victims to fly to Romania by promising marriage. Then discusses said victim as a commodity to be used for making money. Andrew Tate says, you have to understand that once you're mine, you might be mine forever. A woman never leaves her man, and I'll be the last man in your life. What do we do if we fall in love and I kidnap you to bring you to Bucharest? And then the girl replies, I don't think it's kidnapping if I want to come. First, I have to see in your eyes that you will never be able to live without me, and then I can trust you to show you everything. Bring a ring when you come. This is what the girl said. He says, can you be loving enough to be a wife, to always be on my side wherever I go, to talk to zero men besides me? You have to move to Romania with me to keep an eye on you. You're mine. Don't ever forget that. And she says, but can I trust you? He says, yes, you can. We'll meet in Romania, and I want to know you're committed and serious about marriage. Yes, I'm serious. And when she gets there, he's like, well, we're not getting married. I want to turn you into a cam girl. Okay. So they're basically establishing that the way that he's getting these people involved in the whole business is through fraud. And if you remember what the guy said earlier in regards to some of the criteria that need to be met, okay, one of them is fraud. And that's what they're trying to establish with these conversations when they're released. So even though this conversation doesn't seem bad to you, you have to understand by the letter of the law and how they define human trafficking. This is one of those elements that they might incorporate in order to make that charge stick. Basically, he wasn't telling these people, hey, I'm running a cam business, come down. He's like, I want to marry you. You're going to fall in love with me. You're going to fall in love with me. He gets them all the way down to Romania inside of his compound. Then he springs it on him with who? His mother. So Andrew Tate says, you're not stupid. And he's talking to one of the victims. You're not stupid, and you can probably guess how I make so much money. I have to hide what I'm really doing. And the victim says, webcam? And he says, I've been doing this for a long time with a team of girls working on video chat. The company was fake, but this is how I laundered my dirty money. Some of the girls who worked for me, I use them to do other things, to move money or illegal things, documents, and I will never do that with you. Basically telling the girl, you're different from the others. I make them do the really illegal stuff. Again, they have it right here in the wiretaps, okay? Him admitting to this stuff. This is going to be used in court, and you're going to have a hard time explaining this one away. What is this money laundering that you were doing?
You can't go to the court and be like, hey, what happened was... scratch your head.
Yeah. Okay, so now here comes the next part. This is I think the biggest one. Tate's angels, meaning the bottom, the two women, I mean, that's what they call them, bro. What do you want me to say? This is what it reads.
Charlie's, they don't want to say hoes.
Hey, man, listen. These are the women who work for him. The Ghislaine Maxwells. If you don't make money, we're going to have a problem. Punch yourself in the mouth until I arrive, because then I'll give you another 10, you incurable slacker. And the other girl says, I'll break you when I get there. And the victim says, what did I do? And the bottom is, so you have 1 hour and 10 minutes to disappear. And the victim says, but what did I do? You're down 20%, 4 days since you posted. And she says, if Andrew looks to see you, if you posted TikToks, you won't even have time to pack. You're flying off the balcony straight away. So what does this conversation really mean? And this is where this is important. It might not mean much to y'all because you're like, well, is it? When they're taking this in conjunction with everything else, the fraud element involved, the coercion element, the aspect of like lying about what they're really going to be doing there, the fact that this girl who works for Tate is saying she's going to be punching the girl 10 times when she gets there, that there's these threats of violence, the one saying like Andrew Tate gets home, you're going to be flying off the balcony. Is that literally? Probably not, but there is some element there of threats of potential violence if you don't do what's needed. When you take that to court, and these are conversations that are happening in private. You understand? They're going to take this into strong consideration when they're making their case. They're like, how do you explain this stuff? Oh, we're just joking. We're not going to actually make her. Well, then why is the victim terrified?
So let me stop that right there. All right. That's some incriminating stuff, if you ask me. Right. The question now is, why a man who is seemingly so astute as Andrew Tate incriminate himself on tape in such a common fashion, like a common fool? You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. Arrogance actually doesn't answer that question. The following clip I have from another brother named Mr. Lee. He's on the Lapeef network, and he provides eye-opening theory of what's going on with Andrew Tate. So when I'm going to get to that right away. Just bear with me for a second. And I'll get to that tape and kind of let you know where that's coming from. Okay, let me stop sharing there, and let me share with you the brother from the Lapeef network and his theory of what's going on with brother Tate. Okay, so here goes.
So I've been watching this whole situation on Andrew Tate, and it's weird because I talked to one of my buddies, Mike. We used to work on Wall Street together, and he's one of two people that I really keep in touch with. And I was having a conversation with him about a week and a half ago, and I said, I really want to have a show, do a show on Andrew Tate, but the guy's very controversial and he's big, and I don't know if I want to jump into the tank with the whales and the sharks, the killer whales and the sharks yet. But a day or two after that, a lot of this stuff started to break with the way he's speaking and the things he's said that he's done. And I was like, damn, I knew I should have did that show. But better late than never, right? The thing that I notice with Andrew Tate is that though he have come from a background of martial arts, MMA, he's successful at that. He brags a lot about how much money he has. And many rich people, especially people that have hundreds of millions of dollars, that's one thing they never do. They never do that. They talk about a lot of things, but people who are rich, very rich, they don't talk about their money. And especially if you work in New York and you work in financial services, there are three things you don't mess with in New York. You don't mess with a man's woman, you don't mess with his gun, and you don't mess with his car. And his money, of course, right? People don't talk about their money. They don't talk about how much they make, things like that. It's just, those are sensitive subjects. And I've observed him and watched how he moves, his personalities, and I never really see him in the jet. I see him walking by the jet. I never really see him in the car. I see him walking by the car. He's a fast talker. I come from sales, so I read body language of people that speaks fast. I understand hustlers. It's a hustler mentality. When I listen to the way he speaks like a pimp. He doesn't speak like Red Pill. And I went back and I looked at some of the things from where supposedly he had all this fame and accomplishments. And I said to myself, wait a minute. For almost 2 years, from 2020 to 2022 May, where was Andrew Tate? He wasn't in the manosphere. He wasn't on the white side of the manosphere. When Kevin Samuels was ascending, as big as Andrew Tate is now, how come he wasn't on the white manosphere side ascending together with Kevin? Kevin passed away. Rest in peace, Kevin. Kevin passed away in May, and Andrew Tate blew up on the scene in June. I'm like, wait, what's going on? And I'm looking at that pimp pastor. So he's like one of those pimp pastors. Well, no, he's not a pimp pastor. He's just a straight up pimp. And I listened and watched the things that he say and what he do. And one of the things that I observed about how he came on the scene, he blew up coming on the scene straight up off of cancel culture. Like everyone got to, at least to me, on the black side of the manosphere, he just blew up because he was canceled. But where was his ascent to be canceled? And when you look at his history, his talking points was not red pill talking points. His talking points are pimp points. He talked about hustling women, making false commitments, impressions to women and promises. He's very deceptive. And then he flipped the script when a woman shows up, and he rules by intimidation with his body, his size, and his words. Now, I can't say whether or not he ever touched a woman physically. There are a lot of different things swirling around right now. I'm not going to go that far because he seemed like a very big guy. So he, if he was to actually click a woman, he would break something. If he hit her in the belly or the midsection, he'll break a rib. Women, they're not strong like that. And definitely if he hit her in the face, she's going to have some problems. So I wouldn't go as far as to say that he is physical, but he uses physicality as an intimidation tactic, and his words and the way he presents his character as an intimidation tactic. And I understand I understand men that move that way because I grew up around men that move that way. When this whole thing started to break, and I saw a video, and supposedly this video was some type of a course that he used to train the people that I guess come to his compound or whatever, and they're paying like $5,000 for a training session and whatnot. And this guy, he's saying things like, hold on a second. When I listen to Andrew Tate, I don't think he's a stupid man. He's a smart man. I don't think he don't have the money that he have, or at least close to the money that he's had. I don't think he don't have some of the cars that he have. I don't know if he had 20 supercars. That's a lot of supercars, right? $500,000 to 1.5 million a piece. That's a lot of money, right? But when I hear a man that is that intelligent, that smart, charismatic, making videos, making statements and videos that are self-incriminating, smart people don't do that. For me, my antennas go up immediately. My analytical mind start looking at different things. Why do people who are smart do stupid things? People who are smart do not do stupid things. They just don't. That's why they're smart. There's a big difference between intelligence and smart. Intelligence just means you have the intellectual capacity to understand complex things. Smart means you have the ability to analyze, make good judgments, and make good actions. It ties together with common sense. Common sense, you don't have to be a college graduate to make good decisions with common sense. You're very analytical. You know how to assess things and come to a solid conclusion and then make a decision. And I said, there's nothing about the way this man moved, the way he speaks, and the accomplishments that he has economically, and definitely the discipline he's had to become a champion in his sport. He's not a stupid man. Why is he making mistake and making confessions about AML? I used to work in banking, so AML, I used to get trained twice a year, every 6 months or so, usually around December, because December, you're coming into the Christmas holiday, November, you have Thanksgiving, and that's usually when people are moving large sums of money, right? So money laundering, the banking internal code is AML, right? So I used to get training in AML twice a year, usually in March, going into right before the tax season, and then right before the Thanksgiving and Christmas season. Banks are very aware of how and where and when people move money and what they look to do. So we always got training to be able to spot certain things. Intelligent people, smart people just do not make video confessions of money laundering. You working in the sex work, you don't really want to put yourself out there publicly when you're working in sex work. And you're using deception and intimidation with women. A lot of things just was not adding up for me in terms of if you didn't look at him and you just listen to him, there's no way you can think that the man that you hear is the same man in the video making the statements that he's making. And I'm going to bring up a video real quick to kind of show you what I'm talking about, because this makes absolutely no sense in my estimation. And then I'm going to elaborate on it a little bit more as, let's see, camera, slides, share screen. Okay, let's
See, this clip is going to run a little long, but I thought I have to give you the full, build up from this brother, Mr. Lee, on where he's going with what he thinks is going on with Andrew Tate.
Let me know when you guys can see the, okay, I'll bring it up in a second. Okay. If you guys are not subscribed to this brother, A Different Perspective, he has some good commentaries on many things. I've not been tracking him that long, maybe for like the past 2 weeks I subscribed, but he definitely bring out some really good topics. So let's
on himself. We're about to look at the evidence because
let me know, drop a 1 in the chat if you guys can hear.
Has been snitching on himself. We're about to look at the evidence because, heck, all of this can be used against him, and it will be. Let's watch.
When you say webcam company, people assume, oh, it's just a sex fest. But in reality, it's a shitload of people management. The HR category of the webcam business is the largest and most important thing. You're effectively taking girls, teaching them how to make unlimited money from home, and then making sure they give all to you. Your goal is to inspire a girl to make money. So the way you're going to do that is you have to have some element of influence. And you're going to have that element of influence through her respecting you, looking up to you, and her believing she needs you. And this is extremely important because at the beginning, she will need you, but then she won't need you. But you have to keep that fallacy, keep that dream alive.
Fallacy. That's his word. But what is fallacy? Fraud.
That's a pimp.
Nah, that's big pimping right there. As soon as I heard Andrew say, you have to keep these women thinking and feeling like they need you, even.
Okay. The first thing, thank you guys, David H. Body.
So stop it right there because I'm going to go to the second clip. So you got enough out of the background of where this brother was coming from. And, the self-incrimination that's going on with Andrew Tate. Okay, so in the second clip, Mr. Lee is going to bring his theory home. The CIA has, he's going to bring his theory home in the next clip. So just listen up. And let me just go ahead and get to the second clip, and we're going to go from there. How's that? All right, so here we go. Here goes. All right, just give me a second, and we're going to get there. Yeah. 16. All right, we get into that next clip. All right. Let's go from here. All right.
I think it was either Sunday or Monday. And I didn't get the scream. I just got the shot. Can you guys see this? Are you guys able to see the new frame that I just put up? Or no? Let's see.
Fair use, fair use. This one is a lot shorter than the first clip, but it gets to the point and goes to where he's coming from.
Do you guys see where it says this is the end of the manosphere? You guys can see that? This is the rational male. Forgot the name of the brother that he has a conference every year. Thank you, Eugene. Craig Beats, thank you. Johnny M as well. Rollo. Yes, Rollo Tomasi, thank you. Greg Adams and I have a very similar mental problem. I'm terrible with names. I'm so terrible with names that I'll meet a girl, I'll talk to her, get a name, 5-10 minutes, I walk away, and I already forgot her name. I got a good buddy right here, and I called him for New Year's or Christmas. His wife answered the phone, and I've known him for a decade, and I still don't know his wife's name. I'm terrible, especially with female names. I'm bad. But when it comes to business, I don't forget shit. When it comes to business, my mind is wired a certain way. When it comes to business, I don't forget nothing. When it comes to a woman and her name, come in one ear, out the next ear in a minute. But why would he put this thumbnail up? Because it doesn't matter if he's guilty. And I think that's what you guys have to realize. It doesn't matter if he's guilty or not. That's not the point. There's an objective. What's the objective? And who was it that said just a minute ago he wants to see how I'm going to connect the dots? My perception is that whether it's CIA or FBI, but since he operates outside of the United States, CIA got jurisdictions outside of the United States. My perception is that he has a plea deal. My perception is that he was trained for the past 18 months in red pill talking points. And then after Kevin was taken out, they brought him in and they were going to use his discredited background. He got a plea deal. He got a plea deal. They're going to take him down, but he's being used to scar and damage not just the greater manosphere, the black manosphere, because the ascension is on the black side of the manosphere. I mean, you know how we are. Whatever we do, we kind of take it over. The black manosphere has really been making inroads into damaging feminism, LGBT ideas, returning to a family structure, changing the society back to something where men and women can be in relationships together and not this hodgepodge of I'm a woman, I'm not a woman, I'm a cis, I'm a this. I mean, I don't even know all the different parts of what you can be or call yourself. Yes.
Let me stop it right there and finish this off. Okay, so there you have it. He brings this theory home. You know, he believes the CIA is behind Andrew Tate, you know, and it's possible. You know, the CIA and the FBI have destroyed many movements in the past. You know, this is not deniable. You know, this is another attempt now, probably. The question is, will it work? Can the so-called manosphere be destroyed by one man? Right? So I'll leave that up to you to decide. It doesn't even have to be the CIA, because the damage seems to already be done, right? So just, you know, and kind of final thoughts, you know, so, you know, what is this all leading to? You know, many folks are oblivious that there is an actual battle going on in the West between femininity and masculinity, or patriarchy or matriarchy, whatever you want to call it. The real leaders are still in charge, but they have all the people underneath fighting each other so they can satisfy the means of the ultra rich and the puppet masters. On one side, you have men who largely built the world as we now know it. That's undeniable, and that comes with expectations of leadership and how things are run. On the other hand, you have the feminists, you have the transgenders, and you have otherwise ultra liberal people who cannot lead effectively until they minimize or eliminate the thought of gender roles, right? The male female differences need to be minimized, okay? So, or eliminated altogether. Unfortunately, you know, and this is just some thoughts, there's no shortage of men who are willing to acquiesce their position in leadership in the household and in society. So that's where we are right now. There's a battle and an upswing of men in the so-called manosphere who wanted to rekindle or revive the fact that men need to be men in order for things to work properly. This is one of the reasons why marriage rates are on an all-time low, because women expect men to fulfill traditional roles as providers and protectors and problem solvers and the procreation hub. However, modern women, you know, many of them scorn even at the thought of being traditional anymore. So we got a big disconnect there. So, and yeah, there should be some adjustments on both sides, but it's more like you know, the irresistible force and the immovable object. And only a few people are coming through there and getting married. So with the marriage rate in the West is down to like 30%. You know, so how could you have real strong societies when men and women can't even get along in order to be married to build strong families going into the future? So I'm not making that up. Just all the statistics in the world will tell you that. I'm not even saying who's right or who's wrong. It's just that we have a disconnect that needs to be fixed. So, so the battle is why a message, you know, and the attack on male masculinity is one of the reasons why a message from Andrew Tate to men being leaders and taking charge of their families is so easy to absorb by men and and scorned actually by and shunned by many modern women. So you can see his message going through, men cheering and women, you know, with the big red flags up. However, the underbelly of Andrew Tate is very questionable. That's undeniable, right? He may actually, in fact, it may actually be fraudulent, right? He might not even believe what he's saying. We don't know, because there's so much incriminating information about his sex trade. Then, well, how could he have that kind of message and then want men to be, you know, on a positive end, and he thinks so on what he thinks about women. There is no denying that whole thing about him. I mean, even if he's not guilty of anything, it's just hard not to deny what you're seeing. So Mr. Lee's theory is not far-fetched. Even though Andrew Tate is innocent until proven guilty, it doesn't look good for him and his role as an empowerment messenger. It just doesn't look good. So with that, I'm going to end this broadcast and just say, hey, listen, you got to rethink things because about the underbelly of a man that wasn't self-evident when he first came out, at least not to me. But as you dig, which I have done, there's a lot of questionable things, and it's just going to be hard to deny that. Well, anyway, so that's the end of this particular gem. You do with it what you will. Please like, share, and subscribe, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell because I'm going to be putting out certain content, or as the year goes on. All right, take it easy.